Brazil is the largest economy in Latin America. The economy of Brazil has become one of the main in the world since 2003, driven by an increase in the volume and price of international demand for raw materials, basically minerals, oil, and meat, that was accompanied by the entry of new capital and a set of structural reforms. However, Brazil faces a significant housing deficit. Currently, millions of people live in inadequate conditions and face difficulties because of the lack of access to housing. However, many of those who suffer from these problems seek and find answers managed from below. The low-income population has been especially affected by the lack of access to affordable housing and by unequal access to public goods and services. According to the UN, more than 50 million people live today in Brazil in inadequate conditions, and the country faces a housing deficit of between 6 and 8 million homes, mostly concentrated in families whose income is less than $1,000 a month. In big cities like Sao Paulo, Brazil's problems are more evident because of the number of people who live in crowded areas. The lack of an education and health system is accentuated by inadequate and terribly planned public administration. For the most vulnerable sectors, the situation is worse.
As Brazil suffers greatly with its wars throughout nearly a century, a problem that has been plagued by polluted river deforestation and population growth, the larger reservoir system serving Sao Paulo is nearing depletion. Experts say the origin of the crisis goes beyond the recent drought and include a variety of interconnected factors. The rebounding population growth in the 20th century. From the second half of the 20th century, the city of Sao Paulo became the pole of Brazilian cultural modernity. Industrialization, mass immigration, the institutionalization of university life, the creation of museums, theater companies, and cinemas created a cosmopolitan atmosphere conducive to debate and the proliferation of different languages. This massive immigration was one of the causes that Brazil is one of the best economies in America. However, by several factors such as pandemic, technology, etc., now the number of people in unemployment increased. Unemployment in Brazil continues downward trend and between September and November 2022 it registered 8.1%, its lowest since April 2015, and the informality rate decreased slightly to 38.9% compared to the previous quarter. 38.8 million Brazilians have irregular jobs. The unemployment crisis began in Brazil in 2015. The economy of Brazil is mainly based on export, so the instability of the Chinese economy was one of the reasons for this crisis. However, it was not the main one. Brazil's surprising economic expansion in the past decade, which reached 7.5% in 2010, was largely based on an increase in household consumption, which at the time plummeted. In his view, the difference is that previously the unemployment rate was so high in Brazil that government measures to stimulate consumption, such as raising the minimum wage, tax break, and subsidies for the purchase of goods, managed to move economic activity. The problem is that when the labor market became tight by a low employment rate, it began to generate inflation, and the government doubled the bet. It tried to control inflation by way of managed prices, which generate a huge fiscal problem.